What up, y'all? Thanks for tuning back in here to another episode here on the Speedbug channel. Today we're talking about that Suzuki Hayabusa. Now, this is a video that has actually been delayed. I apologize for not getting this out earlier, but it's kind of like old news, but it's definitely not fake news because I'm going to actually post a picture of this while I'm talking that is actually confirmed that the Suzuki Hayabusa is still going to actually remain here in production for the United States market only. Now, a lot of people, and including myself, obviously you know I love Suzuki and stuff like that as a brand, but I will definitely say as well, I mean the bike is significantly outdated and hasn't been updated in almost like a decade. So I know there has been many rumors about, since the H2 has, was the first, supercharged motorcycle to come out, but that the Suzuki Hayabusa is obviously going to have a new turbocharger. That would be great, but I don't know if it's actually going to be done. Let's hope so that it is. But obviously with Euro 4 emissions and stuff like that, since the bike is manufactured obviously overseas and obviously shipped here, we have a little bit different emission standards and things like that, so we are obviously not as strict here within the United States. So the bike is actually going to continue its production run and still run actually here into the US. Now, it also has been proven, and Suzuki also has announced that they have, what's the word? Filed patents and extensions or whatever it's called, or continued the name to own the name and the trademarks and the trade rights and everything to the name Hayabusa. So I truly don't believe that they're going to let the king of speed and their flagship motorcycle actually go completely underneath and go 6 feet under, things like that. Now it may be retired or so because no improvements or anything like that have been done over the last decade, very similar to the GSXR 1000 on the 17, because before that came out, that was like pretty much the same bike since like 2006, 2007, 2008, and it took them almost a decade to completely revise it because Yamaha, Kawasaki, and Honda were really whooping their ass when it came, because it was pretty much the same bike, maybe a little different nose or a headlight, but pretty much the exact same bike with a different paint scheme for the last 10 years. And even your diehard Suzuki fans, someone such as myself, you can only dupe us so long before you're like, hey, are you going to make something new? Are you going to update with the times? Or are you just going to keep trying to make the same shit over and over and also increase the price of it and try and have it compete with all of the modern bikes? No, no, no. So, but again, it is confirmed that the Suzuki Hayabusa will still be sold here in the United States. Now, that's actually good and bad because it's great that the Suzuki lovers and stuff like that and want to build, the ultimate track, meaning drag bike, with, a turbo or some spray, whatever it is, some juice, whatever you want to call it, and go down the track, because you can still kind of get a newer bike and haul ass and kick ass with it. And a lot of dealers have these things left over and leftover stock, and you can pick them up for like 20-30% off, even with an OTD price, meaning out the door, for significantly less than MSRP. And if any dealership or anything tells you that, oh, they can't come in below MSRP for out the door for a newer Busa, you probably should really reconsider buying from that dealer, because you should be well below MSRP. That bike has probably been sitting on the dealership floor for, if I had to guess, at least 100 to 200, sometimes even 300 plus days. Not that many people are running out buying Busas, because I'll be the first one to tell you, it's kind of, even the Gen 2, they're kind of old and outdated. You gotta remember, they're like 600 pounds, they create a lot of torque, obviously, because they're 1350 cc's, but 200 horsepower and stuff like that. But when you're other motorcycles such as your R1s, your BMWs, your GSXRs, hell, even your Ducatis and such like that, they're making the same power, some of them even more, very close to the torque, maybe 10, maybe the biggest gap of 20 foot-pounds of torque, but they're 200 pounds lighter. So they're kind of able to surpass them in the long run because, again, you don't need all that torque to keep you in motion. That's, horsepower to keep you in motion. The torque is just going to get you going. But again, the Hayabusa is still like the king of the drag strip, along with the ZX14, which is also due for another refresh as well. There you go. It kind of tells you everything. So you can pretty much go buy like a brand new bike for like between $8,000 and $12,000, slap a great turbo kit on it, obviously upgrade the clutch, get yourself a set of extensions or even a swing arm, which I would obviously recommend a swing arm if you're going to be putting down real power, not extensions, because extensions fail and break. Chain, sprocket, clutch, transmission upgrades, pistons, rods, and stuff like that, forged internals, and crank that shit up to, 300-400 horsepower and be running 200 miles an hour in the quarter if you're a good rider. So it kind of is like the ultimate bike that you can build for like 25 grand. And where the hell else are you going to be able to go 200 miles an hour, sub 8s in the quarter for 25 grand? I mean, it's pretty fast. It's going to be really hard to do in almost any car. And I don't care how good. That's if you do all the work yourself. Because even if you buy all the parts, you have the cost of the car, you have the cost of the parts, you got to get it tuned. And then hopefully, because you're doing it on the cheap, hopefully it doesn't break. You could do that on a Busa. You could do that on a ZX14. So it's kind of nice to see that they're going to keep it going. And I think into 2019, 2020, but I really do think that in the next year or so, if they're going to really keep that line, unless they completely just exit out, then no, but I really don't see it happening. But I really think that the new Hayabusa, when Suzuki comes out, they're going to bring it. And I think they did a really good job with the new GSX-R 1000R and the standard 1000. I think they're really going to bring it to the table and not disappoint for a lot of the people that like to customize that bike, drag race that bike, and do all kinds of things with it, because that's really what that bike was. It was the king of speed for like a decade. There was almost like nothing that could touch it, until like the ZX14 came along, and then it had some competition. But as time progresses and stuff like that, and they were able to squeeze the same horsepower and almost torque numbers out of something that was 300 or 400 cubic centimeters of less displacement, and with, you could say, 30 or 40% less weight. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to kind of figure out that, hey, some of these leader bikes, you could see it in videos, you could see it online, you could see it in track times and stuff like that. Some of these leader bikes in the stock wheelbase can almost 60 foot at the exact same time as these Hayabusas. Now the Hayabusa, because of the extended wheelbase and stuff like that it just naturally comes with, will obviously always be pretty much quicker down low from a dig. But these new leader bikes and stuff like that, they chase it down. They got the mile an hour at the top end, whether it's a half mile, 1 mile, or even a quarter mile, they're coming on strong. So it'll be really interesting to see, and I'm definitely going to keep my eyes out for the new Suzuki Hayabusa. Hopefully it comes out. I'll probably be a buyer, because it's definitely something. I miss having that bike. It was great, super comfortable, and it's still the fastest I've actually ever been on a motorcycle, well over 200 plus. So and will also be interesting to see, because if Suzuki comes out with something like that, come on, you think Kawasaki's going to sit there quietly and not do anything? So it's like the battle of Big Bertha and like how the muscle car era is going on. It's going to be the battle of the two big bikes again, and I really love to see companies and such do that, and it really is exciting to see the companies battle back and forth. And at the end of the day, you pick which one that you like and looks the best, because it's not always about which one makes more power. It's about which one do you like that makes you feel comfortable and that puts the power down, obviously, most efficiently. So I think we've seen that in many motorcycles over the years, and especially right now between your top motorcycles that produce the most power. Doesn't necessarily always mean that they're the fastest, because they could be fast in a straight line, but it doesn't mean shit if you can't brake or turn or whatever else that the ergonomics are that comes with that motorcycle. So, but I just wanted to give you guys an update on that, and the Hayabusa is here to stay in the United States, and I still still love that bike. Maybe one will be coming to the channel soon. So that's going to wrap it up here for today's video. If you guys like what you saw, again, don't forget to subscribe. Smash the like button. It helps me out. Let you know you guys like this video. And we will check you here for another episode here on the Speedbug channel. Deuces, guys.